Good afternoon. Man, that's weak. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to the Rotary Club of Tulsa this fine day. We're a bunch of good people going around doing great things in the community and around the world through their relationship with Rotary Club of Tulsa. Let's turn real quick and say hi to somebody you may not have greeted yet this morning. All right. We have a really good program in store for you today, so let's get started. Our invocation this morning is by Father Irv Cutter with St. John Episcopal Church. Song and pledge is by Jerry Morator, and visitor introductions are by Carl. So now for our invocation, Father Irv Cutter.
Please join me as we offer a word. Gracious and loving God, you are the source of all goodness, and for the blessings you share with us today, we give you thanks. I'm grateful for this time together, for conversation and hospitality, for the chance to learn from one another, for the meal we enjoy, and for those who have prepared this meal. Bless this gathering. Open our eyes to see goodness around us, and open our hearts to respond to the needs around us. Amen.
Please join me as we sing God Bless America, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Tulsa and to Tulsa's longest running Indian summer as I can remember. Today I'm going to introduce our visitors and their host Rotarians, followed by our visiting Rotarians. If you'll please hold your applause. Today we have Dan Billingsley, who is with the Oklahoma Center for Nonprofits, is a guest of Tim Colwell. If our hosts and guests will please rise. Very good. We have Dr. Raman Singh, who's a guest of Catherine DeCamp with OSU. We have Meredith Myers of the Philbrook Museum, the guest of Michael Turner. We have Justin Jones of Wycliffe, who's the guest of David Wagner and Lynette Potter. We have Andy and Lynn Langston and their two children, along with Robert Shields, that are here for the John Shields Memorial. We have Zach Brockman, guest of the Tulsa Drillers, Jason George. We have Cameron Philpott of the GRDA, guest of Robert Babcock. We have Father Irv Cutter, who gave our invitation, guest of Diane Peacock. He's with the St. John's Episcopal Church. Thank you for coming. We have two distinguished visiting Rotarians today, or one actually, Clayton Taylor, who is president of the Rotary Club of Oklahoma City. Thank you for joining us today. Have a great day.
Thank you very much, Carl. I'd like to bring your attention to the screens and highlight some of our upcoming programs. We have what we call a turkey, if you're a bowler, or a hat trick, if you're a hockey player. But we got three fantastic programs coming up, starting with next week, November the 9th. Brenda Nelson and her husband will be here with the Patriot Guard Riders. If you are a vet, be here. If you know a member that's a vet, get them here if they're not here. And if you have a son or a father or a daughter that's a vet, get them here. It'll be a really moving program with a lot of surprises in store for you. On the 16th, we're going to try something new. We're going to really celebrate in detail our work in the community. So if you also have those nonprofit connections, get them here as we celebrate all the touch points that Rotary Club of Tulsa has here in the Tulsa area. So it'll be a great new program. It's brand new, so it's something you've never seen before. On the 23rd, we have Ken Chapman to give us our Thanksgiving message. He's here as a guest today, and he'll have a surprise for us on the 23rd as well. So we're looking forward to that. So the next three programs are really packed full of surprises, so we hope to see you here. Our sponsors this morning, we have two. David Downing, if he's here, with Acrobat Ant, we appreciate that, and Dave Moore with Tulsa Wealth Advisors. Let's give them a big hand for their support. If I could now have Jeff Hassel please come forward. We have a memorial resolution this morning.
Thank you, President John. The Rotary Club of Tulsa honors the memory and celebrates the life of our fellow Rotarian John D. Shields, Jr. John was born on July 9, 1946, to John Dillard Shields, Sr. and Mabel Albritton Shields in Waco, Texas, and he passed away on July 25, 2016, in his home, surrounded by his children and his wife. John is survived by his wife Brenda, his daughter Lynn, and her husband Andy Langston, his son Robert Shields, and stepdaughters Lisa McMenemy and Lana Tatum. He is also survived by 5 grandchildren and several nieces and nephews. John had 2 older sisters, 9 and 11 years older than him. John was preceded in death by his sister Sandra Shields Mars, and his sister Shirley Smith survived him. John's mother was 40 when she had John. He attributed that and the age difference with his sisters for his adventuresome young years when he, among other things, sank a boat and got caught racing down a runway. John graduated from the University of Texas, where he joined the Sigma Nu fraternity, and he was a lifelong UT fan. For many years, he attended the Oklahoma-Texas game in Dallas with his son-in-law, Andy. John even requested that the UT fight song be played at his funeral. Now, that's a real fan. John also served in the Texas National Guard, and he was a member of Asbury United Methodist Church. John started at Prudential at the age of 21. He lived in many places around the country, including Albuquerque and Los Angeles, before ultimately settling in Tulsa. He eventually oversaw large territories for Prudential, and he was known as a savvy businessman and a hard worker. John was a fun dad, we are told, even attending parties and going to dances with his children. He loved to have fun with his grandchildren as well. He was a well-known prankster, and he often used the mail to deliver random gifts to friends and family. He enjoyed fishing, complete with wine, cigars, and a newspaper. He loved parties, and he enjoyed travel. His favorite place in the world was Taos, New Mexico, where he loved to spend time enjoying the scenery, and he even made friends with hummingbirds. Along with his daughter, Lynn, John took a special interest in the Rotary Club of Tulsa project called Shop with a Cop. John and Lynn participated in Shop with a Cop for many years, and one year, with their own funds, they purchased coats for a family of 5. In honor of her father, Lynn has made a pledge of $1,000 and maybe more to the Rotary Club of Tulsa Foundation for Shop with a Cop. With gratitude for the life of John Shields, for his love for his family, and his service through Rotary, be it resolved that the club approve this resolution by standing for a moment of silence.
Thank you very much, Jeff. And thank you to the family for sharing him with us for those years, and we surely will miss him. Thank you for coming. If I could now have Gordon Greer come forward. This, again, is a very special time for the Rotary Club of Tulsa as we bring in a new member, and he's going to be introduced by his sponsor.
It's my pleasure to introduce Roger Ramsire as a new member of our Rotary Club. Roger moved to Tulsa this year, having lived in Wichita for a number of years, to take a new job with Cox Communication as Vice President and Market Leader for this area. I met him in Wichita back in the 80s when we both worked for Bank 4. And Roger was our corporate spokesman and Senior Vice President of Corporate Banking for about 12 years in that job at Bank 4. After we sold the bank, they asked most of us that knew anything to leave, and so I came to Tulsa, and Roger took another job in Wichita as Managing Director of Government and Public Affairs for Koch Industries, and he did that for about 18 years, and those of you who are familiar with Koch know that it's the second largest privately owned company in the United States. He's been a Rotarian for almost 20 years and served as president of Club Number 30 in downtown Wichita in the years 2010-11. We've decided to waive the red badge procedure for him here and give him a blue badge right off the bat. Now then, this is the kind of the dicey part of the whole thing. He has a BS in business from the University of Kansas and an MBA from the University of Texas in Austin. So he's kind of surrounding us. Finally decided to come to Tulsa. He and his wife Terry have 2 children. Both of those are Oklahoma State University graduates. His son Ryan is a commodity trader in Geneva, Switzerland, and Emily is a law student at OU, so we're covering most of the universities. We've got TU left to do. Are there any questions? If not, let's please welcome Roger to the Rotary.
Welcome, Roger. So, Roger, 2 things that come to my mind immediately. You might know my old cranky dad. He worked for Koch for many years. And there's a former member named Tracy Poe that had to drop out because she had a standing Wednesday meeting. Can you get that cleared up? Okay. Appreciate that. I'd like to call up Catherine, Sergeant of Arms, almost. It's his granddad's got me messed up.
I know, you're such an old guy now.
Oh, I was old before that, but now I'm really old.
Well, I love seeing new members. That's a great thing to have a new member. And I brought a prospective new member, but after this dog and pony show, he may run out of the room. So Dr. Raman Singh is with me today. So if you get a chance, he's from OSU, so stop and say hello. So let's get started. We have slides. Okay, here we go. So before we start, Joel Madsen, where's Joel? There he is. Okay, he slipped me a check today. I'm going to have a slide next week, but it sort of it's conditional money, so I have to go ahead and say something now. He gave me a check for $142. He said that $108 of that money, $108 of that money is because this is the Cubs' 108 years since they've been in the World Series, right? Right.
Who's counting?
So, and of course he's hoping that they'll win. And then $34 of it is for his birthday, which was on October 2nd. Now, he told me that if they win, he might be willing to give us another $108 to add to the foundation money.
That sounds like a challenge to every Cubs fan out there.
It does, and I said, well, what about the Indian fans? I mean, they're going to have to, like, hope for the Cubs now. So anyway, but thank you so much, Joel, and we'll have a slide with your cute face on there next week.
Thank you.
Okay, and next, is Raymond Jones here today? There, look, he's trying to be like really subtle, like here I am over here. So there he is, big wave, big wave. He gave a very generous $150 donation for his birthday on October 20th, so happy belated birthday, and thank you for that donation. Now, my hero, Pedro, I'm telling you, if you and I, buddy, if we can make it to 80 plus age and still do a 5K in 45 minutes and 30, I can't do that now. And so anyway, so he did an awesome job. He was second place in the Tulsa run.
Wow.
Here's Pedro, look how he's so fit. He is so fit. So thank you very much, Pedro, and congratulations. All right, and next, guess who's a grandpa? We have baby Kimber finally arrived, and so Grandpa, it's G-Paw, we think. We don't know yet. They'll settle in on those names soon. But so baby Kimber was born October 27th, and she looks like she's a keeper. You have any comments? Yep. Keeper?
She's a keeper, yeah. Good genetics from her mom.
Okay, well, she's a little doll baby.
Well, I do have one comment.
Okay.
I have one less Kathy to deal with now. So I only have Kathy Gurrell and Catherine DeCant. My Kathy is in permanent grandmother mode, so she's out. I mean,
there you go.
I haven't seen her in a week.
You know how, well, the thing too is that you'll start referring to her as like whatever they call her, whatever the grandkids call her, she'll become that. So, okay, and then Oktoberfest. My good friend and former Sarge, Alicia, sent me these pictures. If you look at the picture on the left, is Mr. Bristow here today? He's putting down a pint or two or four. And so, yeah, gotcha. So anyway, that's a great photo. And then, of course, we have, just a little collection there of some of our faves. So thank you, Alicia, for sending pictures in. Okay, caption contest. This is the first caption that came in. We only had two. I don't know, you guys must have been really busy last week. So, the caption, the winner is, "We're this close to ending polio." Because if you remember, our esteemed guest was talking and he was holding his fingers like this, so I asked for a caption. So now I have a little video that we're going to show you to see why this was the right answer.
We are this close.
We are this close.
We are this close.
This close to making history.
This close.
We're this close.
We are this close.
We are this close.
This close.
This close to changing the world.
We are this close
So be kind
to making sure no child suffers a crippling disease
ever again.
We are this close to making history.
We are this close to ending polio.
This close to ending polio.
We're this close.
This close.
This close to ending polio.
This close.
We are this close to ending polio. All we need is you.
All we need you.
All we need.
Okay, so any questions? As that looks like the winner, doesn't it? So thank you, Bob, for sending that, Bob McKenzie. So our other entry came in anonymously, and I'll show it to you. The reason I can't represent Trump.
I don't want to explore that, actually.
Well, it was his attention.
Because it could go anywhere.
It's his attention span. Was this?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
It was his attention
Okay.
span. So anyway, so thank you all for playing along. Okay, and we have auction. We have tickets to auction. So November 12th, Texas Tech with OSU, breakfast or lunch with the Knolls. We do have a starting bid on this, President. And
Pretty strong one.
$250 is our starting bid on these tickets. So I'll let you take it away, and then we'll do OU tickets.
Okay, we've got an opening bid. Texas Tech, is that a night game or a day game? Do we know? Anybody? 2:30 game. Oh, perfect, 2:30. I mean, the weather's going to be gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
Zero chance of rain, slight wind. Red Raiders are exciting. I've got a $250 opening bid. Do I hear $275? Got $250. Do I hear $275? $275? Anybody? We got to run up this bidder because there we go. There's $275. I got $275 looking for $280. I got $300. So I've got $300 looking for $305. Got $300 looking for $305. I got $305 looking for $310. $305 looking for $310. Got $310 looking for $320. Got $310 looking for $320. You wiped your mouth or you raised your hand? Which was it? $310 looking for, he's still thinking. $310, there's $320. I got $320 looking for $325. $320, was that yes? $325, are you still in there? $325, $325, $325. Okay, we got them sold for $320 to Brad.
Bravo. All right, so OU is playing Baylor on November 12th. And
Great.
we do not have a starting bid on that, so who wants to open it?
Now that OU Baylor game is probably really important. We have an opening bid of $150.
Oh.
So we've got an opening bid of $150. I'm looking for $160. Got $150 looking for $160. $150 looking for $160. There's $160. Got $160 looking for $170. Got $160 looking for $70. $60 looking for $70. I've got $70. I've got $70 looking for $80. Got $170 looking for $80. $80, $80, $80. Anybody got $80? Looking over the room. I got $180 up front. Thank you, sir. Got $180 looking for $90. Got $180 looking for $90. Got $180 looking for $190. Anybody? $180 going once, twice. You really want them? Sold. $180. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. We have a few committee meetings today. They're on the screen. Above and Beyond's Awards is meeting in room 234. Rotary Youth Exchange Scholarship is in room 232, and Yearling Service Project Class 3 is in the Beacon Room. So if you have an opportunity to join those committee meetings, and we'll put you to work, and you'll have a lot of fun in the process. I want to thank John DeBar for conducting today's new member orientation. Thank you very much, John. I hear good things about your work. Appreciate you. Our other announcements this morning, on behalf of the club, I'd like to extend condolences on the passing of longtime Rotarian and special lifetime member Jack Tubb. Jack passed away last Wednesday, and there's a memorial service that took place this past Monday. Cards are on your tables to express your sympathies, thoughts, and prayers for the Tubb family. We also learned of the passing of another former longtime member, Don Kyle. Don passed away on Monday. Services are 11 o'clock tomorrow at Boston Avenue Methodist Church. That is 11 o'clock tomorrow. In other news, our beautiful Centennial Plaza sculptures were mentioned in a random article. This article is by the National Review, which is a print and electronic media distributed publication. And it was written by a contributing author that was here for a wedding. So he's not from Tulsa. He just came in, but he's a blog and journal contributor. So he wrote the following article. I want to read it to you. It's pretty cool. And this is his first impression, or some of his first impressions. He had many of Tulsa. Touching to me is a clutch of monuments honoring Rotary International. One stone says, as America's most generous city, Tulsa boasts a rich tradition of volunteerism, selflessness, and personal and corporate philanthropy. Rotarians have worked to supply clean and safe water in impoverished lands. There is a statue of a woman wearing hoop earrings and carrying a jug of water on her head. Rotarians have fought like deuces against polio. There is a statue of a girl, one crutch at her side. She is triumphant, being able to throw her crutches away. Service above self goes the Rotary motto. I don't know if these men and women put America first, They seem awfully globalist to me, but I know that they are wonderful and wonderfully American. All my life, I have heard of the good that Rotary does and seen some of it too. I hope they go on and on and on. That's a nice little blurb for Rotary and Tulsa, so we appreciate that. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce our Rotarian of the day, Mandy Lemus. Mandy is currently the director of NORDAM's Office of Corporate Responsibility, and her main duties are community relations, communications, stockholder, culture, and environmental sustainability for the company. She represents NORDAM on the Tulsa Area United Way Women's Leadership Council Steering Committee as a governance committee chair. She's also, of course, a member of the Rotary Club of Tulsa and serves on the board of directors for Oklahoma Center for Nonprofits and is the current chair of the Funders Roundtable. And since we got off on this university thing, she holds a master's degree from the University of, I can't even say that word, Texas, at Austin, and a bachelor's degree from Oklahoma State University. Those both hurt. But what you don't know about Mandy is that she is a movie star. As a little girl, she appeared in the movie The Long Riders. I don't know if you remember that, but it's about Frank and Jesse James and the James Gang. And it was starring David Carradine, Stacy Keach, and Dennis Quaid. Mandy's father worked with the horses that were used during the movie and landed a role as one of the children riding in the wagon. In her words, you have to know when she's on the screen and not blink or you might miss her. But I'm still highly impressed that one of our own would know three fine actors and be in a big movie about the James Gang. So help me introduce our Rotarian of the Day, Mandy.
I think that's the first time that's been shared publicly, potentially.
Is it not supposed to be?
No, it's fine, yeah. I have a cute picture of one of the Carradine brothers holding me. So,
Really?
Yeah, I was entertainment, I think, between takes. Okay, the real reason that we're here today is to hear a fabulous presentation. Marnie Taylor is president and CEO of the Oklahoma Center for Nonprofits. Prior to accepting that position, she served years as a board member, trainer, and a consultant for the center. She has 30 years of leadership and nonprofit experience and currently serves on the following boards: World Neighbors, Friends of the Governor's Mansion, Potts Family Foundation, Remerge, OU Breast Institute, and the Advisory Board for BoardServe. She's also an adjunct professor at OSU OKC, where she teaches none other than nonprofit management. She's a graduate of Leadership Oklahoma, Leadership Oklahoma City, and the founding director of Youth Leadership Exchange, and served for 10 years as Historic Preservation Commissioner for Oklahoma City. She also is past board president of several organizations and board member from several organizations. The list is lengthy, I can assure you. Her service to the community, as you can tell, has been long and generous in nature. She's been honored for that and recognized by several organizations, including the 2013 Journal Record Woman of the Year, Junior League of Oklahoma City as the Sustainer of the Year, and the National Association for Community Leadership as a Distinguished Leader. While we're on universities, Marnie earned a marketing degree from the University of Notre Dame, which has to be near and dear to my heart. You can't work for Notre Dame and not love Notre Dame. Truly. And last but not least, it really should be noted that she's a fellow Rotarian and she's a member of the OKC Downtown Rotary. And I would be remiss if I didn't point out the wonderful opportunity it is to work with her on the board of directors. I know that Joe Moran and Tim Caldwell and others could attest to this as fellow board members. She's a wonderful leader. She's put the organization light years ahead since she's joined and continued the great work that has been started with that organization and expanded it to so many wonderful programs that I've attended personally and even benefited from as a board member. So I feel like on that board, I actually get more than I give on that board. So thank you for allowing me to serve, Marnie, and with that, I'll bring her up to the podium.
Wow, thank you, Mandy. I mean, I know most of you are impressed that she was in a movie. I'm most impressed that she works for a company that loves Notre Dame. So I really appreciate that kind introduction, and I really appreciate you also, Mandy. I would not have said that you get more than you give, because you give an awful lot, and we really appreciate your service to the center. I also want to thank you, President John, and all of you for the great hospitality. I've visited this club several times, and it's a warm and gracious and fun club, and I am delighted to be here. I'm also delighted, as was said earlier, to be in what many call the most generous city in the United States. So I feel like talking about philanthropy in the nonprofit sector is truly preaching to the choir in this room. So it's really wonderful for you to be here. I'm going to share with you about not only the nonprofit sector in Oklahoma, but what the Oklahoma Center for Nonprofits does to support that sector. As an Oklahoma City Rotarian, I'm almost always joke with my husband, actually, and my colleagues and friends that I seem to make it to the Wednesday meetings in Tulsa more often than I make it to the Tuesday meetings in downtown Oklahoma City. So I might be in trouble for that. I may just have to join your club and bag that club. But and I really do also want to thank my current and former board members of the center who are also members of this club. Tim has been mentioned, Tim Caldwell, who I think is the former president, most of you know, Joe Moran, Howard Barnett, our wonderful Rotarian of the Day, Mandy Lemus, and also Phil Lakin serves as a one commissioner for the center. So I have a lot of people out in this club that I greatly appreciate their commitment to the center and the work that we do. I didn't know he was going to be at the podium already, but I want to acknowledge Gordon Greer. When I moved to Oklahoma City in 1982, my first job was at Liberty Bank, and who was on the same floor but Gordon Greer? But most important for Gordon Greer, for me, is that his picture hangs in the wall of the center in Oklahoma City, and actually in the Tulsa office as well, as the first board chair of the Oklahoma Center for Nonprofits, and that was 35 years ago. So I stand on the shoulders of Gordon and Pat, so thank you. I also want to say that Tulsa Rotary has been an amazing supporter of the Center for Nonprofits, and you have provided transformational technology funding for our Tulsa office. I know I've been at many of the meetings where you've given away checks to nonprofits, and you don't know what those checks mean to those organizations. So thank you for what you've done for us and for all the other nonprofits in the Tulsa area. And again, to recognize my husband, who wouldn't ride over with me today. I don't know why, but when I got to the restroom at the midway point, guess who was at the midway point at the restroom? My husband. So Clayton, thank you for being here. We could have ridden together. And thank you. He is the one who introduced me to Rotary, and we actually, and you know how well scripted Rotary meetings are, there are no surprises, but I actually joined Rotary on his last day of serving as president. They snuck me in. So I appreciate you in supporting the work that I do at the center. So since in January of 2011, I have been honored and had the great pleasure of serving as the president and CEO of the Oklahoma Center for Nonprofits. I'm just going to call it the center. I do know there's a great nonprofit in Tulsa that you call the center, but we have gotten used to calling ours the center as well. The center is the preeminent leader in helping nonprofit organizations in training and consulting in Oklahoma. Additionally, we are a membership organization. Maybe some of you are members, or some of the organizations you serve with are members, and we have nearly 1,000 nonprofit members in Oklahoma. But finally, and maybe most importantly, we are the hub of the sector in Oklahoma. It allows us to act collectively and have a collective voice in advocacy and policy for nonprofits in Oklahoma. As Mandy mentioned, I'm old. I'm a new grandmother, by the way, John. I'm old. I was a grandmother became a grandmother 3 weeks ago, but I have been involved with nonprofit sector my entire life, and I have had the privilege of serving on almost 35 boards or with 35 organizations. I love this sector. I think I had to take this job because I was serving on so many boards. I decided if I actually just served the Oklahoma Center for Nonprofits, I could help every day in a big or small way, help every nonprofit in Oklahoma. But as a person of faith who truly believes in and lives out the mantra of John Wesley, do all the good you can, I believe in the power of the nonprofit sector. My 22 staff members at the center, we have both a Tulsa office and an Oklahoma City office. Both those addresses are on the paperwork at your table. They live out this mantra every day in providing assistance to all nonprofits, regardless of the type, the size, the mission, or the location. As you can imagine, there are nonprofits in Oklahoma with multi-million-dollar budgets and thousands of employees, and we have nonprofits that knock on their door that don't have any employees and have $100 budgets, but we are there for all of them. The center does this work through training, consultation, helplines, our phone rings off the hook. We have shared financial services, advocacy, and so much more. We roll up our sleeves with nonprofit organizations in Oklahoma to solve problems. Lots of organizations have governance problems, have difficulty raising money, management, budgeting, marketing, evaluating their programs. Remember, these are businesses. Everything that each of your businesses have to do, a nonprofit business has to do it as well. Our mission is to build better communities through effective nonprofits. It's a very large mission with even a greater impact. Now for a little audience participation. I'd like you to raise your hand if you serve on the board of a nonprofit organization. Okay, probably 3/4 of the room. How about volunteer? I know we even have some volunteers here serving us today. How about you donate to a nonprofit, even to Rotary? Okay, I heard about some of those wonderful donations today. As you can see, this is a room filled with people who make Oklahoma great by participating in the nonprofit sector. We should be proud of ourselves. I hope you all realize what an important mechanism each of you are to a really big sector in Oklahoma. We not only have economic impact, which I'm going to talk quite a bit about today, but more importantly, you change the lives of people in Oklahoma every day by that service and that giving. When I talk about nonprofits today, I'm really going to talk about what we call traditional nonprofits or public charities. I know there's a lot of 501c3, 501c4, 501c6. There's a list this long of all the different designations from the IRS. And what I do want to say is, nonprofit is not a business model. Nonprofits do make money. We need to make money. We need to have solid budgets and meet those budgets. And I've heard some people say, let's not call ourselves the nonprofit sector. Let's call ourselves the social benefit sector. And maybe that would be a better name. And I bet you didn't know that there are almost 19,000 nonprofits in Oklahoma. I oversee a very large group of businesses in Oklahoma. There are over 3,800 nonprofits in Tulsa County alone. It's a very big sector in Oklahoma, and we have a very big mission. Nationally, because there are a lot of national statistics about nonprofits, they account for $322 billion of wages every year. Nonprofits are 10% of the workforce in the United States. If nonprofits were just one company, we would be second largest behind government. So if you took all the government together, they'd be the largest entity, and the second largest business entity in the United States would be the nonprofit sector. That's huge. We contribute 5.3% of the nation's gross domestic product. And in 2014, as you know, statistics lag behind. I wish I had them for this year, but nearly 63 million Americans, some of you who raised your hands, contributed 8 billion hours of service to nonprofits. If you equate that out in mathematics, that's $175 billion in labor in 1 year that people donated through volunteer service to nonprofits. Henry Ford once said, $1 billion here, $1 billion there, now we're talking real money. Well, Oklahoma nonprofits and the nonprofits in the United States are talking about real money and real impact. In Oklahoma, and particularly in Tulsa, we pride ourselves on being one of the country's most generous states and cities. And philanthropy, along with the work of the nonprofit charitable sector, have enormous impact economically. Oklahoma believes in strong philanthropy and supporting our organizations. With a population of just under 4 million people in Oklahoma, we gave about $2 billion to nonprofits in 2013. And the total is 5.3% of the total income. We have some of the largest foundations in the United States right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I think you all know that. Oklahoma charities generated nearly $13 billion in revenue and $43.7 billion in assets. We are a large business sector in Oklahoma. Now, according to a new study from Philanthropy Southwest, the total assets of the top 20 foundations just in Oklahoma are $564 million. Do you know that the average grant given by one of those top 20 foundations is $58,000? That's a lot. That's a big check for an organization to receive. And most importantly, 77% of the foundation giving in Oklahoma stays in Oklahoma, which is very important for us to know. When it comes to those foundation grants, most of them were directed, as you can imagine, towards human services, education, and health care. Additionally, most of that giving happens in the urban areas. And, I am a statewide organization. I have employees, and I get in my car, and if you saw my gas bills, we are traveling all over the state trying to serve all nonprofits. And rural philanthropy is very, very difficult. According to that study, only 7.5% of those foundation dollars went to our rural areas. So as you think about your giving, and I know you give generously in Tulsa, remember that there are a lot of people outside Oklahoma who don't have access to the foundations or the corporations that nonprofits in our urban areas do. On your table, you do have a sector sheet that we actually take out to the Capitol every year to talk about the sector in Oklahoma, around the country, and I even have the statistics of Tulsa County, so I hope those are helpful to you. The nonprofit sector would not thrive without philanthropy, and I've mentioned that before, but what you have to know, a giving study that just came out shows that $1 billion a day was given to charity in the United States last year. $1 billion a day went into the hands of charities. In fact, $10 of that went to the nonprofit sector. One in every $10 of that came from individuals. So what you have to remember while we talk about the great generosity of the foundations and the corporations, you all are the ones who are making the difference. And individuals who make less than $100,000 a year actually give the highest proportion of their income to charity, almost 6%, which is very interesting. I see a minister shaking his head because much of our giving goes to our faith-based organizations. These philanthropists are absolutely game changers, but so are you, and we can thank our nonprofits and our philanthropists for making things happen. However, the sector does face some great challenges, and the biggest challenge, oftentimes is money, is actually people. Nonprofits need good people to serve on their boards. They need good people to work in their organizations. Good boards are not a gift. Organizations have to do a lot of hard work to train, onboard, and keep good board members, which many of you, I'm sure, serve as good board members. Additionally, we struggle with staffing at nonprofits. I have to say, if you saw the credentials of my staff, I have 5 people who have 2 master's degrees. I have someone with a PhD who works at my nonprofit. And you can also know that I teach nonprofit management. There's a master's degree in nonprofit management at Oklahoma City University. The educational assets that are coming into the sector are really big. When it comes to board and staff, I want to tell you about the center. We are the place to go. In the past year, we have helped organizations really move the needle through our training programs. Over 2,000 nonprofit leaders have come to one of our 175 training events across the state, and I do mean across the state. Everything we teach in Oklahoma City, we teach in Tulsa and vice versa, but we're in Bartlesville, we're in Poto, we're in Altus, we're in Lawton. We are everywhere providing that training. In addition, some of you maybe have even attended a board retreat or a private consulting job that we have done for one of your organizations, because a lot of organizations want that kind of intense work. My nonprofit staff at the center, as you can see, they're very bright, are in high demand to do that work. But speaking of demand, one place that I don't have control over, and neither do you, is the demand for services for nonprofits. While overall giving is up, so is the demand for services. And you also have to know the past 3 years have really been difficult at the state legislature. The budget allocations have had great reductions, and the nonprofit sector has been greatly harmed by those reductions. And what we have seen is philanthropists and you have been asked to pick up where those dollars have been lacking. So oftentimes, where the state used to heavily fund, higher education, now the foundations for higher education are coming after the same philanthropic dollars that the arts and the human services organizations to come after. So even if your nonprofit never got any money from the government, the fact that the government is giving less money to everyone else affects everybody who gives away dollars. 3/4 of nonprofits reported an increase in demand for their services for the 7th year in a row nationwide, and only half are able to meet the demands of the people that knock on their doors. We know Oklahoma is a high-need state. We rank near or the bottom in too many factors: education, health, human services, incarceration. We have so many people who live in poverty and people who live with disabilities. It is a very tough situation in Oklahoma, and the nonprofit sector is here to make a difference for those people. But there are some bright spots. I know I've talked about lack of funding from the government. You know, we have an energy sector that is sticking with us, but that has had some struggles over the past years themselves. But we do have a lot of bright spots. I particularly want to mention Educare here in Tulsa, who's been heavily funded both by foundations and corporations, who've made a huge difference in the lives of children and families. And the Oklahoma Caring Van, which is partially funded by the Blue Cross Blue Shield Caring Foundation, which gives immunizations to children, has changed medicine through the nonprofit sector. As I mentioned, in addition to the government cuts, the energy sector has had a really tough time. I don't have to tell you that. We're just so glad Williams is still here with us. Thank you. State Treasurer Ken Miller says, he doesn't see anything better on the horizon for a while. So nonprofits are going to have to learn to live with it within this environment for a while. But please know there's a lot of great nonprofits in here and across the state who continue to do incredible work. I think of our food banks, who both the Eastern and Western food banks of Oklahoma have been set up as models around the United States as the best food banks there are. There is a lot of duplication of services, and please know when people knock on our door, if they want to start a nonprofit, we're usually their first stop. We often are called the dream killers, and it's just we want people to go find other organizations that are doing things similar to what they are doing and partner with them, and maybe not start another nonprofit. I also want to mention a few years ago when there was a backlog of applications for nonprofits, the IRS decided to bring out a form called the EASY form. And while that sped up how quickly you can get a nonprofit designation in 10 days, one of the concerns we have is we do not want fly-by-night nonprofits. We want people who have strong boards and have strong business plans. So we have come out in opposition to that form. So what role does the center play? We talked about our training, we talked about our consulting, but we really also need to talk about our policy work and advocacy. Some of you know that my husband Clayton has been a lobbyist our entire 35 years of marriage, and I pulled that one out. I see every year the stacks, and now I'm watching all of those bills that go to the legislature. 2,500 bills show up in January. And what you have to know is Congress only passed 200 bills. United States Congress only passed 200 bills. State legislators saw, not our state alone, but across the country, 66,000 bills. A lot of policy work, more policy work is happening in the states than is happening in Washington, D.C., and we need, as nonprofits, to be paying attention to that. The center has lobbied legislation. We've killed some legislation. We've passed some legislation. We actually worked with the tax department to take away the need for nonprofits to pay tax on gala tickets. Imagine if you went to a gala or sponsored it, and you were being charged sales tax. We got that legislation changed. So we are really training our nonprofits how to go out to the Capitol. We have an advocacy day, but how to work hard with their legislators and get to know their legislators to protect them from any adverse effects of legislation. As we say at the center, if you aren't at the table, you're on the menu. And so we really want our nonprofits not to be chewed up. What do we need from you? We need you to continue to dig deep in your pockets. Remember I said that 80% of giving comes from individuals. We are entering the season of giving, of Thanksgiving, and as our founder, Pat Potts, calls it, Thanks Living. Or as my friend Mike Turpin says, if you ain't giving, you ain't living. Thank you, Mike. So please continue to do that. Also continue to promote your nonprofits to do policy work. You know, more than 37 years ago, I met my husband on a blind date in the streets of Chicago, and I have to admit, I said I went through Oklahoma when I drove through to go to the Cotton Bowl in Texas at Notre Dame when we won the national championship. And I never imagined I'd be raising my children and living in Oklahoma. And we've actually moved away twice. Some of you know us personally. We moved to the Rocky Mountains, and we moved to Aruba. And every time we moved away, I turned to Clayton, and I'm not a native Oklahoman, he is, and I said, we need to go home. We need to go home to Oklahoma. And the reason it's home is because we're needed here. We can make a difference, and we matter. And that's exactly who you are and what you are. You matter to this state, you give to this state, you make a difference in this state. So I urge each of you, regardless of your faith or your background, to live out this special quote that's attributed to John Wesley. And I'll repeat it, and I say it every year. Do all the good you can, by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, at all the times you can, to all the people you can, as long as you ever can. Thank you so much for what each of you do personally. Thank you for what this club does to support Tulsa. And it's just been a delight to be here. I think we are out of time, Mr. President, but I am not going anywhere after the meeting, and I would be delighted. I've already met a couple of you who have nonprofits or starting nonprofits to be a resource after the meeting. So thank you for a great lunch.
Thank you so much, Marnie. If I can get you up here real quick again, I do want to feed you one question quickly.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we were talking about foundations and how a couple are in the news. Can you talk real briefly about that?
Yes, I carefully read your rules about no politics, but I do, you know, the Clinton Foundation and the Trump Foundation have both been in the news a lot over the past few months. And so, you know, private foundations are also 501c3 charities. They are the same designation as a public charity. However, they have a lot of different rules. One rule is that they have to give away 5% of their corpus every year. And so they're both in trouble for different reasons, and I'm not going to comment on those or get into them, but you know, the Trump Foundation is an actual private foundation who gives away money. And obviously, some of his issues have been around self-dealing and not disclosing where some of the money was going and what it was going for. And in the Clinton Foundation, they are actually an operating foundation. So they're not a public charity, but they put on lots of programs. So the money that their 5% actually doesn't go out into the public. The 5% that the Clinton Foundation has goes into their own programs. And you read a lot about all the programs and all the initiatives they've had around the world, and you've heard about those for years. So they both, it's interesting, I've gone to several national conferences lately, are both in the news, and it does give people like me an opportunity to talk about the importance of philanthropy, but also about transparency and all the ethics around all of those foundations and public charities.
All right, thank you. So a nonprofit may elect the next president. Okay, thank you so much for being our speaker today. We have a book that you've graciously inscribed already that's going to go to our Adopt-A-School, Celia Clinton. The name of that book is Wonder. Thank you very much. Also on the screen is listed all the volunteers for today's program. It takes a lot of people to put this on. So as their names are up, if we please acknowledge them with our appreciation. And we have a few announcements today, so if Becky can come forward.
Thank you. The Women in Rotary Committee was created this year as another outreach of our Rotary Club for engagement, encouragement, and community for its members. And so our kickoff event is going to be Monday, November 7th at the Summit Club this Monday night from 6 to 8 p.m. We have a special TEDx speaker that will be talking about some great subjects, and we'll have roundtable discussions. And the good news is we've had a great response. We only have 4 seats left. So if you know a lady that would like to be included, please make sure and get with me today. And if we need to, maybe we'll try to figure out a few more seats if you're bringing a guest, but please make sure and get your RSVP in soon. Thanks.
Thank you, Becky. And Michelle for a quick announcement.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon. I can't believe it's November already, and November means it's almost December. So it's time for you to sign up to ring bells for the Salvation Army. We'll have our great whiteboard out there. Check your calendars. I think you can pull out your cell phones right now and check your calendars. Thursday, December 1st, we have a number of locations. 33 people signed up without an announcement. How's that?
That's awesome.
For what? For Rotaries in service. We'll be out there immediately following the today's meeting. Sign up. I will send you all kinds of reminders of when and where you're supposed to be. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now, one of those sign-ups says Sarge, so I signed up below that, and I intend on auctioning that off next week. No, I wouldn't do that to you. Charles for an announcement.
All right, talk to you about Shop the Cop. First of all, I want to talk about Mr. Shields. He and you, Lynn, gave some coats a while back, and I just want you to know every year this story's brought up for Shop the Cop. It's just such a wonderful thing, and doing what you're doing today is just greatly appreciated. So thank you very much. With that said, Shop with the Cop coming up December 3rd. All y'all see right here that we've got our sign-up list. We'd love to have you come out. It's going to be a ball, as usual, back at Target over on 17th and Yale. We're going to have about 25 families represented. We're going to have the police officers out there. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be from 8:30 to 11:30 a.m. I won't keep it till p.m. like the thing says, so we'll get you out there a little bit earlier than that. Well, I know that everybody's worried about the OSU game, but I've already talked to them. They're going to push it to the evening anyway, so we'll be good there. So anyway, looking forward to seeing you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And at the heart of it, Shop with a Cop is an intervention program. So if you've ever seen a time in our country in Tulsa where we needed intervention of youth with officers, this is probably the year. If you've never been, well, if you didn't go last year to Target, your only experience is Walmart, I urge you to try the program again this year. Target is a lot different, a lot more relaxed, hesitate to say, but a lot of fun too.
So
Catherine.
so fun. Do it. Okay, so now we're going to raise some money for Rotary International. Well, we've already, Barney. Where's Barney? Everybody applaud for Barney. He sells tickets every week. And this week, the nerd in Barney went ahead and gave us some odds. So are you interested in odds? The pot right now is $1,371, and sells usually about 122 tickets per week. So there's 1 in 38 chance of drawing the Joker. For $1, your chances are 1 in 4,600. If you do $5 worth of tickets, your chances are 1 in 660 of getting your number drawn and then getting the Joker. So he can show you his formula for that if you have any questions. So that's fun. So we're going to let Marnie...
So that's better than the Oklahoma lottery, right?
Oh, it's not.
And we know where the funds go, right?
And I have my contacts on this week, so I can read it. Last week I had to do like the long arm. So, okay, the number is 248693. Woo! No way.
No way.
Okay. All right. I don't know if sitting next to your connection was good or what. But
for those of you that don't know, was it last week or the week before?
It was last week. And I mean, somebody's got some good karma going on here. And so, all right. And look, you're so cute. Okay, you ready for this? Now, one card, Diane, one. We went through this last week.
Okay. I know the deal.
Okay, you know the deal. All right, here we go. Let's play the game. Pick the winning card. Wouldn't that be fun? I mean, you would be a fun winner.
Oh.
It's a 9. It's a 9.
Next week.
9 of spades. Next week. I think she's buying like 50 tickets at a time. So thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Diane. You keep buying and you keep losing. We'll be in good shape. I want to remind you of our upcoming programs. November the 9th, Patriot Guard Riders will be here. It's a veterans program. The 16th, we'll celebrate our community impact through the Rotary Club of Tulsa and its foundation. And you and your husband are cordially invited, and bring Mary along, Fallon, you know. And let's celebrate the work that we do in this city. The 23rd will be our Thanksgiving program with Ken Chapman, who's here with us today, and he has a special surprise for us. Bring all your friends and encourage them, and let them know, if not then, at the 16th program, what we do for the community of Tulsa. Thanks, have a great day, and we are adjourned.